Evening, everybody. Welcome to a new edition of knowledge sharing sessions with Karthik and Vaidya. Uh, Today we are talking now with not essentially. And Karthik, Vaidya is basically a expert on wood processes and everything else. Sorry, I don't have his full bio with me right now. Karthik, do you have that with you? Can you just introduce him?
But I'll let Vaidya introduce himself.
Not an issue. I'll introduce myself. So, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Zoom session arranged by Karthik and Roshan. I am basically a panels technology expert. You cannot call I'm a solid wood expert. So I basically deal with composites from wood-based panels, agro-biomass-based panels, natural fiber composites. I would say multi-material composites. So currently, I work with Magnus Plywood Private Limited. It's based in a place called Khanna, which is in Ludhiana district of Punjab. So I head the resins, product innovation, product enhancement, and new process technologies at Magnus. I'm also a nominated research policy committee member at ICFRE, Dehradun. ICFRE is Indian Council of Forestry Research and Education, which is a Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change institution, which looks after the Indian forest-based research works, enhancement and improvement activities for trees and all other forest-based products. So that's a brief introduction about me. So I am basically a multi-material panel technology expert, including natural fiber polymer composites. So today, I would like to have a very brief, because most of the experts here, most of the listeners know a lot about wood and about panels also. So I would like to just start with a very brief discussion on wood, solid wood, and how the panel technologies can be enhanced for the acoustics and sound engineering sector. So we'll start with a small presentation, which will have some bullet points, from which I'll give a brief detail and discussion on those bullet points. So Karthik, I request you to share the presentation. I hope I'm audible to all.
Is my screen visible, Srikant?
Yeah, this is the last
I'm sorry, yeah.
slide. You can go to the first one, yeah.
Is it visible?
Yeah, very much. So
you can let me know when to move to the next slide, Srikant.
Yeah. So wood, as we all know, it is considered an ultimate gift of Mother Nature, because wood is it is a very versatile material which can be made, converted, maneuvered, manhandled, and easily maneuvered into so many different things, stuff, objects, products, art, creativity, imagination. Wood is one such natural material which gives you a lot of opportunities to enhance your own creativity, and maybe I would say enhance your own entrepreneurship with such a material. And it is an orthotropic material, which means that it is very unique because it has independent properties in all the three directions of its grain. So you have the longitudinal axis, the tangential axis, and the radial axis. The radial axis is nothing but along the growth, along the width of the growth of the trunk. wood is a very unique material. It is an orthotropic material which can be manipulated into so many different things, and it plays a major role, plays a very very big role, critical role you can say in all sorts of composites. And as we all know, there are so many different densities of wood, starting from 200 kg per cubic meter to up to say 1400 kilograms per cubic meter, very high density. You would have heard about the self-lubricating wood called lignum vitae, which is used in ships. It is a very restricted material, one of the densest woods of its kind. And each different species and even subspecies has so many different properties which can be incorporated into so many different applications. Probably we could say that we will never run short of ideas with wood, and what we can do with wood. But there are so many different properties with which we can work with.
Sorry.
So then, as we all know, you have the heartwood and sapwood. The heartwood is the part of the core of the trunk where all the extractives get settled during the aging of the wood. Sapwood is the outermost part which keeps expanding towards the outside, and which is the major uh, which is significant for its ability to transport different materials, nutrients, water, fluids through the trunk of the wood. And another very very important aspect of wood is that many high density components are naturally incorporated into a net low density and medium density mass, which is a very significant character of wood, because you have lignins which have about 1.3 to 1.5 density. Then you have tannin, which again have around similar densities up to 2.2. Then you even have silica in wood, which has densities up to 2.3, 2.35. So all these high density materials are incorporated into such a wonderful material, leading to a low and medium density mass. And that is one of the unique magical features of wood, which can be even more utilized for so many different things. Then, as we all know these days, that we get a lot of data on the sustainability of wood and carbon neutrality of wood, the ability to absorb and store carbon for centuries, not decades. The wood has such high capacities of carbon storage, carbon sink, what we call. So wood is definitely a very very sustainable material which can be consistently replenished, and it is recyclable into many different other things. And it gives a lot of reasons during the life cycle of wood to use wood as one of the ultimate engineering materials for mankind. We'll go to the next slide. Solid wood is a very strong, stiff and rigid material. As I mentioned earlier, its versatility to be maneuvered, modified, designed, redesigned into so many different things, and that too with light to medium heavy tools, with hand, with semi-automatic machinery, with automated machinery. So it gives a lot of options to work with, and wood is basically an easy material to work with. And wood has, since probably thousands of years, wood has provided huge job and occupation opportunities to millions of people in the unorganized sector, people who are largely unknown to the regular corporate workforce, and billions of micro entrepreneurs survive on wood and even the people close to the forest, people living inside the forests, they all survive mostly on wood as their raw material. Can we come back to the
Yeah, just one second. Shrikant, one small point I want to ask you.
Yeah.
Shrikant, would you be okay with the questions? Would you be okay with the questions being asked during the session?
Yeah, during the session is fine, but my answers will probably be brief in between.
Okay.
Uh,
Okay.
Probably because we would like to have a very simplified presentation of things.
Right.
Okay. Just one second, please. Yeah. Okay. I'll just, there's a question which has just come up. I'll just maybe ask the question to you and you can choose to answer it towards the end or right now.
Yeah.
The question is from Mazban and he asks, why is wood no longer used for construction of houses in India? Whereas in the West, it is still used.
Yeah.
Okay.
It is a very significant question in these times because and there are a lot of aspects to it also. There are some political aspects, societal aspects, and not so technical aspects as well. I think we will mark this question for the end of session.
Sounds good.
Yeah. So yeah, and wood has been providing millions and millions of unknown job opportunities, because most of us, we have seen the corporate sector, we have seen the organized sector, we have seen what is seen in the world and what is exposed in the world. But whereas wood is one such raw material which has been providing millions and millions of unknown occupational significance to mankind.
Sorry.
We'll come back to it. Yeah. And also, various institutes across the world have been undertaking lots of tree improvement programs on various species of wood, which are commonly used as agroforestry species. Agroforestry and silviculture are nothing but farming of wood, commercial farming of wood. So there are a lot of species which are used by various industry sectors such as cottage industries, handicrafts. Then in the audio sector, mainly musical instruments, and you have the cork sector for the audio segment. So lots and lots of species, and there are the people, institutions, and governments, and even farmers themselves have been trying to find out a huge number of alternatives to corks. Tree barks having a major chunk of cork component in them. So there are lots of tree improvement programs continuously being undertaken worldwide. So here also the significance of the current question which has come across now, it takes a good amount of significance, for which I'll detail briefly at the end of the session. Yeah. So and then solid wood, there are lots of developments in drying and seasoning technologies. Drying is nothing but the ability to remove the moisture of wood without affecting its properties, physical and mechanical properties. When we say drying, it is not like you just keep it at 200 degrees so that the moisture evaporates off in a jiffy. It's not so. So drying of wood, why I have mentioned developments in drying and seasoning is because drying of wood is a very serious subject, because the drying has to be in such a way that you don't spoil the properties of the end properties which you target for a given particular wood, for a given particular species. So there are lots of drying developments in drying technologies. Like nowadays you have got the off-grid solar dryers, and then you have got the high frequency dryers, and lots of low energy consuming and seemingly sustainable options for drying. Seasoning also, there are a lot of considerations in seasoning and treatments. Treatments like diffusion treatment, capillary treatment, and VPT, vacuum pressure treatment, for achieving various purposes. So we will come to the possibility of treatments in the acoustics sector when we discuss the composites for acoustics. We'll go to the next slide. Yeah, why wood? Again, one of the most versatile materials man has ever had his hands on to. And the strength to weight parameters, as we all know, strength to weight parameters are, make wood one of the most significant engineering materials. That too, natural engineering materials, which man has been gifted with rigidity and stiffness combined with, yeah, and most of the wood species that we speak of have very good elasticity parameters along with the rigidity and stiffness, which make them designable uh, and creatively designable. One of the key significance of utilization of wood is the ability to apply creativity to the designs along with the engineering parameters. Yeah, and again, the ability to design and maneuver relatively simpler tooling. And the simpler tooling also adds to the ease of occupation in the wood sector, and also to the sustainability, because this sector doesn't consume uh, the amount of energy that is consumed by the other competing alternative material sectors like aluminum and cement, concrete, so many different materials. And wood is has been found to have magical fire properties, you can say, because wood buildings, you can probably check a lot of videos on YouTube which show us the what you call the stability of wood structures even in fire. So there are a lot of YouTube videos which are accessible because wood has the property of charring. So when as each layer is charred, the the flame spread to the inner portion is very effectively effective. So wood creates a self barrier. Charring of wood creates a self barrier against flame penetration to the inside. And again, wood is a very easily certifiable commodity, and almost 95% of the wood consumed worldwide today in commercial activities comes from agroforestry. That is, they are all farm-based wood. We are crossing 90%, and we are proceeding towards 95% of farm-produced wood consumption, which makes it a very sustainable and environment-friendly sector without much damage to Mother Earth. And conservation aspects, almost all countries have effectively banned the further depletion of forests for procuring and utilizing wood resources. And almost all countries have very stringent bans and very stringent criminal procedures initiated against the defaulters of the conservation aspects of wood. And wood is very highly replenishable. It is continuously, the plantations are very consistently recyclable. The growth is very reliable and measurable. So all these factors make wood close to the ultimate engineering material for man. We'll go to the next slide, Karthik. Yeah, as you can see, this is a picture taken during the San Francisco fire during 1906. They found that the steel segments had bent, and they were hanging on the wood members as a support. So you can see that the wood has withstood the intensity of the unpopular San Francisco fire, which caused huge damages during those times. So this picture just reveals that timber can outperform steel in a fire. We'll go to the next slide. Yeah, now we will come to the sector of wood-based panels. Significance of wood-based panels. Wood as such has got a few limitations, if you can say so. in using solid wood as it is for various purposes, especially in the case of the acoustic sector. The ability to convert wood into different forms of panels, particle composites, flake composites, wood chipped based composites, and then layered composites, where the wood veneers are peeled as sheets of layered sheets and then assembled to a certain requirement. So wood-based panels offer us the ability and flexibility to design our end requirement. That is the significance of wood-based panels. We can design our end requirement. Say you have something called compreg wood, compressed impregnated wood, which is a very high density material, highly compressed under high temperatures and pressures, in order to achieve various properties like container flooring, electrical properties, even soundproofing properties. So that is the significance of panels produced out of wood. The advantages, one of the major advantages being that you can have a larger size of panels. Suppose, earlier days we used to have 4.5 feet, 5 feet planks of wood procured from forest wood. Now, these days you cannot be doing that, because only those wood which are being sold by the forest departments, by the authorities themselves, can only be procured from the forest these days. So earlier days we had slabs of 5 feet width or maybe 6 feet, 2-meter width. So we had lots of opportunities with the width. Now, as the agroforest,
yeah. One second. Yeah, sorry.
As agroforestry started gaining significance for commercial use of wood, we have got this fast-growing timber which have narrower widths. So what happens is, in panels we can have various single sheet sizes of 8 feet by 4 feet. Nowadays we have 9 feet by 6 feet, 11 feet, 12 feet by 6 feet. And then we can have, in panels, we can have the advantages of sandwich constructions, that is multi-layered constructions with different materials and interchangeable wood species. So these are all some of the major advantages of panels. And compressibility, you can compress the wood to the extent that you need. So these are a lot of advantages to the wood-based panel sector. Applications, of course, I don't think there is any limit to the application of wood-based panels, right from aircraft plywood, right from shipping marine plywood, up to the interior modular panels which we use for furnishings. You got all kinds of segments in the panel sector. So the applications are very vast when you convert wood and wood-based materials into panels. Can we check this slide? Sustainability, of course, one of the most sustainable materials that we have had our hands on. I'll get into sustainability during the last slides, wherein we have some emission parameters also under consideration. We'll go to the next slide, please. Wooden panels in acoustics. Definitely a lot of work needs to be done in the panels, wood and wood-based, natural fiber-based panels in the acoustic segment. And in fact, I observe during my small interactions with the sound and acoustics related people that almost nearly nothing has been done in the panel segment as far as acoustics is concerned, based on the utilization of wood, natural fibers, and biomass. Then we have the application of densified wood, pressure impregnation of materials, as well as compressing. See, densification of wood, solid wood I mean, can be undertaken in two ways. One is the compression of wood to the required density by heat and very heavy pressure. where the wood material itself is compressed to a required density. And then you can retain the mass, you can retain the volume of the solid wood as it is, and then impregnate the wood with required amount of chemicals or inorganics, say for example nanosilica. We have a process of impregnating nanosilica particles into wood to make it fire retardant. This will again provide very high density to wood. So many such inorganics are impregnated at the nanoscale by either converting them into the nanoscale or producing them in the nanoscale. These materials are impregnated into wood, a given volume of wood, without compressing it in order to densify. And that also have their own applications, probably in acoustics also, which we will discuss soon. Then you have in acoustics, very little has been done on the studies relating to what you call removing of extractives. I've written loss of extractives here, but it should have been removal of extractives, because there is an Iranian study on a wood that is similar to the Brazilian wood Pernambuco, which is used as violin bows, So there is its commercial name is Persian silk. There is an Iranian study, and they have found that the removal of hot water soluble extractives have given rise to a higher damping property in a given wood. So such kinds of studies are very few and far between in the sector relating to acoustics in wood and wood-based panels. Then the sawing style of solid wood also has a lot of impact on the acoustic properties of wood sawing style, because probably all of you would know that sound is supposed to travel faster along the grain of wood, along the grain longitudinal axis, much faster, close to 3.5 to 5 times faster along the longitudinal, that is we call it as the growth grain, along the growth grain of wood, than the radial axis. Radial is the sideways growth of wood. So the sawing, the angle of sawing, which I'll present a picture later. The sawing styles, the grain directions also play a decently important role in acoustics in the case of solid wood. Then the biomass waste incorporation, biomass waste such as crop residues like rice straw, wheat straws, corn stovers, rice husk, and many other biomass which have very good components and very good workability towards acoustic properties. There are a lot of work that need to be done. Natural fibers, of course, coir fibers are used these days, and jute fibers are used these days in a good amount in acoustics. More work can be done in multi-material and coated coir composites. Then, as I mentioned earlier, multi-material composites. Multi-material composites can be a real game changer in the acoustics and sound engineering sector, which we will discuss in a short while. We'll come to the next slide, Karthik. Yeah, this is what I was mentioning a while ago about the sawing directions. As you can see in the picture, the cylindrical bowl on the left side, you can see that the sawing shapes shown the sawing is done that is outward towards the radial growth. So it means that this particular kind of sawing can have that is transfers less amount of sound. As I said earlier, sound travels faster along the grain of growth, and much lower across the grain, perpendicular to the longitudinal grain, and the circle to the left above the cylindrical pole is called the normal plane sawing. You just saw it, along the grain as it is. So, and then on the right side you have a few other sawing techniques. So these are all based on the grain direction. Yeah, we'll go to the next slide. Multi-material composites. See the left side picture, as you can see, it provides the various materials which can be brought out of a log. You have the lumber, which is the sawn wood. You have the veneers. Then you have the flakes, chips, and smaller flakes, excelsior. These are the wood shavings, what we call, during different kinds of work, planing shavings, finger joinery shavings. Then you have the particles, fiber bundles, paper fiber, wood flour, and cellulose. So all these can play together, as well as in groups, as well as individually. They can play a very big role in multi-material composites. Then down below left side you have glass-based materials. You have the glass powder, you have the glass chopped strands, then you have the bidirectional weave, then you have the woven fiber, which are shown right side above. The different kinds of composites are shown. You have the fiber composites, the particle composites, laminar composites are the layered composites, where we make the wood veneer by peeling the wood, rotary peeling the wood. You get sheets of wood called veneers. You have the flake composites, filled composites. Filled composites are nothing but polymer filled particles. So these multi-material composites can play a very big role, because they can you have things like sound absorption, sound damping, sound reflection, so diffusion. So all these properties can be achieved by appropriately incorporating different materials, different types of materials, and different types of materials in different ways, in different particle sizes, and different grain directions, layer directions. So all these play, and even the resins, polymers, etc., the fillers used play a very important role in achieving our desired end properties for acoustics. We'll go to the next slide. Yeah, multi-material layered composites. As you can see, you have the coir-based composites, coir-based moldings, and right below you can see 100% coir-based material, which I had developed for Karnataka State Coir Corporation. It is 100% non-woven felt-based sheet made out of 100% coir and melamine formaldehyde and fillers, which was supposed to have good acoustical properties. Then you have the steel reinforced composites. So these are all just to show that you can there is no limit to the materials that can be incorporated into panels, because panel technologies can go to any extent to achieve the desired end properties of various sectors. In this case, acoustics. For example, you can have dampening membranes, you can have glass, you can have wood veneers, you can have wood particles, all in the same, in one and the same panel. These are all possible with panel technologies. Yeah, we'll go to the next slide. Yeah, why ply layered panels can be significant? A plywood is made out of rotary peeled veneer, as I mentioned earlier. And more importantly, the rotary peeling is a process where you peel along the growth rings, you can say, tangential axis. So along the growth rings. So what happens is you get a final material, final raw material, uh, which will by itself reduce the speed of sound inside the material by close to 3.5 to 5 times than the longitudinal direction. So when these layers are stacked, packed and compacted with other materials, multi-materials, so you get much more significant property values. So that is why the the method of making plywood is very significant for the acoustic sector. And then it comes down to the densities and the Young's modulus of elasticities, which can be achieved using different methods. So plywood is going to play a very big role in multi-material panel composites for acoustics and sound engineering sector. Then a very important aspect of panels and panel technologies is that you can incorporate all the three properties of acoustics, thermal and fire properties into a single panel product, which is a uh, very important thing in panel technology, because which can be utilized to a great benefit for so many different sectors and so many different applications. And then you have these panels have very specific design advantages, like you can create holes, perforations. These days you have CNC rotors, laser based rotors, laser based engravers. You can make straight perforations, angular perforations, textures, contouring, whatnot. So panels are going to play a very big role in acoustics and sound engineering in future. One of the main drawbacks, or what you can say, one of the main um, major effort to be taken in this sector is that a lot of R&D research needs to be further done to improve upon the current panel technologies for the benefit of acoustics and sound engineering sector. So the need for organized research is very, very high these days. And then the combined aspect of necessity, sustainability, and aesthetics based product development is something which needs to be immediately looked into in the wood, natural fiber, and multi-material panel-based sector for acoustics and sound engineering. So the necessity and sustainability and aesthetic aspects can be designed into panels. Then you have the chemical emission parameters. These days we hear about CARB Phase 2, Environment Protection Agency, EPA Title 6 restrictions on formaldehyde. We hear big news about formaldehyde being a probable human carcinogen, where in California they have established clearly that it is a human carcinogen. And we have started works on formaldehyde-free products called as NAF, no added formaldehyde products, and isocyanates also, they're very deadly poisonous, which are very difficult to handle than formaldehyde. And many European countries have started banning floorings in which isocyanates exist. That is, isocyanate-based polyurethane foams are utilized. And we have the CARB, California Air Resources Board, stringent testing and certification parameters of less than 0.05 parts per million per cubic meter of air formaldehyde emissions for hardwood plywood, and less than 0.06 parts per million per cubic meter of air for particle boards, MDFs, and related particle composites. So all these volatile emission parameters are going to be applied very stringently in future, and in India also, BIS is planning to implement all these parameters in a very strict and in a very trustable manner, because so far we have had lots of problems with implementation in India. So these days the BIS is also thinking of implementing it in a very strong way. Even with they have also recommended criminal proceedings against people who don't follow the certification norms, and then the stamping norms, proper stamping norms after certification. So all these sectors of work, uh, all these aspects of works need to be done. There are a lot of opportunities in the panels sector in acoustics and sound engineering, and I wish this awareness session has been uh, quite okay and quite acceptable to all. And then we will start taking a few questions, and I'll reduce and simplify my presentation so that questions will give a better idea of higher awareness and discussion. Yeah, Karthik, we can get into the questions.
I'll just stop sharing my screen. Okay.
We'll start with the first one, which you had mentioned.
So I repeat the question for the benefit of everyone who has joined recently. So the question is from Mazban, and he asks, why is wood no longer used for construction of houses in India, whereas in the West it is still used?
See, when it comes to India, we had a lot of problems during the early 90s, because the government and related authorities and institutions observed that huge amount of forests are being illegally utilized, illegally abused for procuring a lot of wood in India. And there was a drastic ban of usage of wood in constructions in India by the Supreme Court. And the Central PWD, Central Public Works Department, also simultaneously implemented the ban. And you can say post-independence, India has been reducing the use of wood in construction in a big way, because we have many historic wood buildings in India which have withstood the test of time, centuries old. We have the Tipu Sultan Summer Palace in Bangalore, right in the middle of Bangalore, which many few would be knowing that it's from the 16th century, and it still stands. The Tipu Summer Palace. The next time when you visit Bangalore, you can get into the Summer Palace and enjoy the architecture and the time-tested building material all by yourself. Then you have the Travancore Palace, which still stays um, uh, in all kinds of weather, because Kerala, Travancore, Thiruvananthapuram, it is close to the sea. It is almost very close to the sea, and it has got all kinds of weather. And Padmanabhapuram Palace has been standing for centuries. So in North also, there are a huge number of wood buildings which have stood the test of time. But the combination aspect, because of which wood was, people stopped using wood, is because of the higher focus on cement, concrete, and reinforced concrete, which was projected as a very strong material to touch, feel, and even hold, because it is very heavy. So people think that it is a very strong material. So there are many aspects why wood has not been used in India. But yes, very recently, about 2-3 months back, CPWD has removed the ban on wood for use in constructions. We do have BIS norms for using wood in constructions, and the Central Building Research Institute, the CBRI, has also been doing a lot of work on utilizing wood and natural resources for construction. And there are a lot of wood buildings now coming up in India as well. mainly cottages. And I recently heard that in Himachal, a trader has built a 2,500 odd square feet of 100% wood-based house for himself on top of a hill or something. And the use of wood as in India, the restricted use of wood in India has also to do with the availability of properly treated guaranteed wood resource in India. So we will have to import. Now we have the Canadian wood coming in. Canadian wood has been widely accepted in India these days, and they are into a lot of projects right now. So gradually things are changing, and then there is a reversal trend towards use of wood in construction. Yeah.
Thank you, Srikanth. In fact, all the questions are from Mazban only. So, Mazban, could I request you to maybe open your video? You can maybe come into the video chat and you can maybe ask your questions directly. That has more, probably has more impact rather than us asking. You might want to just maybe unmute yourself. Mazban, are you there here? I think he has. Okay. Wait a second. Oh, okay. Fine. No problem.
Not a problem. We will have the question.
I'll ask the question for him. So the second question is, which he asks is, why do most plywood manufacturers cheat you? So, and he says that they claim that the wood is basically void free, or it's free of any kind of, let's say, holes, voids, but it never is. And also marine grade is never marine grade. So these are quite like interesting questions.
I missed the name. His name is Asban?
Marsban.
Marsban, it is a very, see, it is a very, very important question, Marsban. I thank you for the question. 95% of Indian plywood is from the unorganized sector. We have got very few companies in India in the organized sector which give value to what they sell. So it is a problem. It is a multi-parameter problem in India. We have got problems with wood sourcing. We have got problems with chemical sourcing. We have got problems in the supply chain. We have got problems in the attitude of your contractors. We have got problems in the attitude of carpenters and people who work on the plywood along with the contractors. So it is a multi-parameter problem which India is facing. And I am also part of certain groups which have been trying to sequence and streamline all these things so that people, including myself, so suppose I want to buy a plywood myself, I'm not sure I'm getting the right stuff. And so that is the real fact of the issue in India. And lot of people, including some of the corporate plywood manufacturers, are trying to solve this matter in a mutually beneficial way. We are trying to talk to contractors, carpenter groups. We are trying to talk to the supply chain and asking them not to cheat customers, not to duplicate products. So there are a lot of problems which needs to be addressed. Yes, there are problems. And very gradual change is happening during the last 1 or 2 years. Yeah.
Basically, there's a follow-up question. So, what does one need to check to ensure you don't get cheated at the plywood by the plywood dealer?
The primary thing is self-awareness. We need to know what a plywood is. What is it used for? Suppose you say we have the marine grade plywood. You have the these days you have the architect grade plywood. You have the waterproof plywood. You have the chemically treated plywood. Basically, the marine grade plywood cannot be made at the price which you are giving right now. So the primary filter which I would suggest people to go for is the price aspect. Because marine grade plywood, we use marine grade for kitchens. I don't know. We don't have ocean waters and the problems with ocean organisms in our kitchens. So I don't know what is the need for marine plywood in kitchens. And they give a green sort of colored chromate dipping, which is very, very dangerous, deadly to your hands and skin. So first of all, my sole request to people is not to undermine the utility of plywood. Plywood is an engineering material, and we need more and more educated and aware people to utilize the actual benefits of plywood so that the sector is not undermined, underrated, and underutilized. The plywood is basically an engineering material. So when you go for your normal interior plywood, just go with the moisture resistant plywood from good brands. You got a lot of excellent brands these days. Basically, just like building your home, I would say you need to do enough homework on the panels aspect also, because there are a lot of panels which surround us. Starting from these days, everything is modular. Every single aspect of homemaking has become modular. We cannot be surprised if 5 years down the line we will be building our homes ourselves in India too, because modular constructions are on a rapid rise, and panels are going to play a very huge and critical role in modular constructions. So in the interiors also, most of the things are modular, including do-it-yourself furnishing, do-it-yourself wardrobes, do-it-yourself shelves, whatnot. So I would suggest you go for the proper brands, you go for the proper self-awareness and homework that is required to pick and choose the panel which you need for your purpose. Yeah.
Nice. Okay, the next question also is from Mazban, and what he asks is, coated coir mats don't work because they collapse in time when the coir fiber breaks due to its own weight. So it seems more like an observation rather than a question. So
Yeah, see, coir is a natural fiber, and mats out of coir, whether it is woven, tufted, needle mats, whatever, they are going to be structurally weak unless they are sandwiched with a structural skin, or they are filled with a polymer to make it a filled composite. In the picture I had shown you, filled composite. So coir to be used, or it has to be rubberized coir. You get the rubberized coir these days, which can have very good applications for damping, sound damping. It can be sandwiched between two skins of plywood or cork or multi-material. You have to go for multi-material. You cannot go for a single material in acoustics. I think Karthik and Roshan would agree with me. Because sound and acoustics, it is a multi-material business. It is not a single material business.
that's right. Yeah. Any further points that you want to add to that particular question, or should I move on?
I would say, with regard to multi-materials, having raised the question of coir, with regard to multi-materials, I would say that, see, you can have laminated glass. You can see, these are the days of bulletproof plywood. So when bulletproof plywood can be manufactured, why not an acoustic panel of very, very, very high acoustic rating? Why not? It is a simple question which I am putting across to the experts here. So why not? We have got bulletproof panels. We have got laminated glass sandwiched materials. We've got n number of panel materials these days. And why not include all the properties that are required in an engineered panel into a single panel? The acoustic, the thermal, the fire properties. These are all huge opportunities available in this sector. Suppose I say that I have a two layer of wood veneer followed by 2 layers of, say, 1 layer of woven glass fiber mat, 1 layer of bidirectional glass fiber mat, 1 layer of chopped strand glass fiber mat. Now, the combinations possible are limitless. We need to identify the purpose and design the panel, design the layers of the panel, design the material layers of the panel as appropriate, for which the audio, acoustics and sound sector, I would say, have to reorganize reorganize and work as a team with the material manufacturers. And anything is possible under the sun.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree more with you, Shrikant.
Yeah.
So the next question is from Roshan. Roshan, why don't you ask this question directly to Shrikant?
We generally use a lot of.
Roshan, your voice is
Your voice
slight.
is feeble. I think, yeah,
Yeah, my question was, we.
it's still feeble. It's still feeble.
It's still feeble, Roshan. Or should I
think
ask the question?
you can ask it.
Karthik,
I'll ask the question on your behalf. Is it okay, Roshan?
yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah. So Roshan asks, multiple Baltic birch is preferred. Is it multiplied Baltic birch is preferred for building higher end speaker cabinets, but it is imported and pretty costly. In the Indian context, is there any alternative?
See, I have not got into the properties required for speaker cabinets. Probably we can discuss this over, and then I would definitely like to find an Indian alternative immediately.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
It's only a matter of matching the properties, and if the properties are not matched, then it is only a matter of engineering the matched property with an Indian wood. So it is not an impossible task. Very significant question.
Right. So the next question once again is from Masban, and he's asking, when we are at site where a lot of plywood is being used, why do our eyes burn so much when the plywood is cut?
Again, very good question. Very good question.
The follow-up to that is, in fact, one can't stand in the site for more than 2 or 3 days.
Very good question. See, formaldehyde is a very constant volatile gas that is emitted from any panel products these days. And nowadays we have polyisocyanates, that is polyurethanes, which are being used as adhesives. But close to 98% of the panels are made with formaldehyde-based resins, the glue, the adhesives that go into the as a binder. And formaldehyde is definitely emitted over a period of time. We have seen cases where formaldehyde is emitted 15 years after the installation of a panel, and it's a continuous process. And the problem with formaldehyde is, in high humidity environment, the amino resins used in the panel. The amino resins are resins which consist of urea formaldehyde, melamine formaldehyde, and a combination of these, melamine urea, urea melamine. And amino resins are very much prone to hydrolysis. Hydrolysis means the moisture-based, water-based breakup of the molecules, which in turn emit. I think I'm audible. Which in turn emit formaldehyde. So at the time of testing, the formaldehyde emission may be low, but during the operational life of a panel, if there is a higher quantum of hydrolysis, then you have higher formaldehyde emissions. So the resin making process, the way resins are used, the way additive scavengers and fillers and extenders are used in the glue adhesive systems count a lot in the final emission of formaldehyde. And these days we have stringent standards, not yet implemented to a large extent in India, though many manufacturers claim even E0 emission norms. I am not very sure if those emission norms are realizable in the operative life of the product, because we have very unorganized chemical background based resin and adhesive manufacturers in the plywood and panel sector these days in India. Very few people are well versed in the chemistry and science of adhesives, formaldehyde based adhesives. So India has got a lot of work to do in this regard, and we are definitely working on it. Our manufacturing associations, plywood manufacturing associations, government institutions, we are all working towards strictly implementing emission norms in India too. And how far it will be implemented, time will tell. So formaldehyde emission is the major reason probably the only reason why your eyes, you have irritation in the eyes, and you have suffocation in breathing, and you can also have some kind of infection, lung infection.
Could I just add to this thing? So is there some kind of precaution that we take? Suppose like we are designing a home theater, okay? And a
Yeah,
home
yeah.
theater, obviously you're going to use a lot of plywood, you're going to use a lot of
Yeah.
insulation materials, you're going
Yeah.
to use all of this.
Yeah.
So is there or some coating that can be done on the plywood to prevent this formaldehyde as release at a later date? See, we will get out of the project in a year's time, 6 months, whatever. Like you said, what after 4 or 5 years, this formaldehyde creep comes out, and then the person, you can't even sit in the room. It is so bad,
I know, I know. I've seen home theaters
It's
in my own friend's
possible
place.
to go
Which,
into that room. So
yeah.
is there yeah, so what is there something that you suggest that can be done, like a coating or something which will prevent this, or at the selection of the plywood stage only, what can we
See, there
as
are two things.
consultants and designers
Yeah.
suggest?
Yeah. See, there are two things to formaldehyde emissions. That is overcoming the formaldehyde emissions. One is, as you suggested, the avoiding of formaldehyde emitting products, or the avoiding of high formaldehyde emitting products. These days we have ratings called E1, E0, where the emissions are less than 0.07, 0.15 ppm E1. So one is the primary filtration of the emission-based criteria at the point of purchase, which is going to be tough in India because I don't think.
Is this specification provided by the manufacturer or the dealer? They don't know anything. If I go to a dealer and say, boss, E0 wala plywood dena, he'll say, Baba, idhar aisa kuch hai nahi.
Yeah. So the problem is, see, India is mainly based on consumer. It's a consumer demand-based market. So most of the people are traders here. They are not. So the awareness, the major mentality of business is trading. So we continue to be a consumer demand-based market. So as more and more people get aware of this formaldehyde emission problems and the risks and health effects associated with it, and as more and more inquiries go into distributorships, dealerships, people will start asking us manufacturers, ये लोग ऐसे पूछ रहे हैं, sorry, I'll continue in English. People come and ask for low formaldehyde. What is that? So that is so the demand-based market has to be created in the first place. In the second place, for those people who are aware of the risks and effects of formaldehyde emission, I would say there are barrier coatings, but how far they will be effective, time can only say, because if there is a breach in the barrier, due to some cutting or reorganization, screwing, see, anything can breach the barrier, even crack, moisture related cracks, expansion cracks, so many things. So they can breach the barrier. So long as it doesn't breach the barrier, you can have membrane coatings, polyurethane membrane coatings, polyurea membrane coatings to safeguard yourself against formaldehyde emissions. Of course, polyurethane and polyurea coatings have their own problems of isocyanate emissions, but that is during the application. But once the polyurethane is cured, you have scientifically and practically negligible isocyanate emissions. But yes, during the application stage, you do have problems, and safety precautions are recommended.
Should I move on to the next question, Shekhar?
Yeah, please.
So once again, Mazban asks, for building a loudspeaker cabinet, would you suggest MDF or similar size plywood? Do you want to ask this question right now, or do you want to answer this question right now, or do you want to take it?
See, what is the major property of a speaker?
Mazban, do you want? Yeah, sorry, Mazban, do you want to amplify on the question? Mazban, do you want to amplify on the question, or do you want to?
So basically, the panel needs to be high density and low resonant. It should not resonate. It should be very damp in terms of vibrations.
damping is a very important property which is required for the loudspeaker cabinet. So
Yeah.
you might want to just throw some light on the properties for the
See,
plywood.
And also, flex strength should be very high. It should not flex that easily because otherwise you have to add a lot of bracing inside.
Right.
yeah, you mean the Young's modulus?
Correct. Young's modulus.
That's
Yeah. So yeah, of course, because most of the sound instruments, that is wood used for sound instruments and related musical instruments, require high Young's modulus and high density as well. So some of the Indian rosewood varieties have high densities, and there are some high density varieties which you can check, which are available in the market. And MDF, of course, the major advantage of MDF is its workability. Workability is the major advantage of MDF. And probably if you can, if you want to enhance the aspects of the speaker, you can have multi-layered coatings over it. Barrier coatings and enhancement coatings for sound properties.
But kilo for kilo, is MDF stronger or plywood stronger?
Depends. If you buy a compreg wood, you can have densities ranging from 1.25 up to 1.4, 1.45 as well. So if you want a high density material, you can go for compreg wood. Compreg wood. MDF has a lower density. MDF has a lower density, less than 1.
What is the range of densities for MDF versus the range of densities for wood, like plywood, for example?
See, plywood, the density can vary anywhere between 0.4 up to 1.4.
Right. And what about the same for MDF? For let's say
MDF, you have got HDF varieties, high
yes.
density fiber boards, which can
So-
reach up to 1.2.
Okay.
0.25. And again, higher densities can be achieved depending on the requirement and the pricing. You know, that is the advantage of the panel sector, because you say you want 2.5 density, I can give you 2.5 density as well.
It can be engineered.
Yeah. So that is how the panel sector works, and the most advantageous matter is the workability of different designs.
Right.
But then the follow-up question comes is like, suppose if I say I want like a 2.5 density panel, or you spoke earlier that we acoustic people need to come together and specify a panel which can be made. Then what are the quantities? I mean, I need maybe 10 sheets, 20 sheets, 100 sheets. I mean, is a manufacturer for 100 sheets going to give me a 2.5 density or a 5 density if I specify?
That is a very good question, which opens the opportunities for exclusive factories catering to the acoustic sector.
Right.
Where you can
to get this, I'll have to set up a factory, you're saying.
It is a good field of opportunity. At present, probably manufacturers may not agree to the low volume sales. Of course, I also have had a lot of inquiries for small number of acoustic sheets, which I have not been able to cater to, because the current plywood and panel industry sector is based on a mass volume and a preset process So if you have to change the preset process into a low volume process, then you need to redesign the whole show, which is not practically viable by all means. So this opens up the scope for opportunities in the audio sector, and the scope is unlimited. Where you can work with small volumes, small quantities, say 10 sheets, 20 sheets, say maximum of 100 sheets. Process has to be designed, and manufacturing has to be set up for acoustics.
I think just to add on to what you're saying, Srikanth, in audio and acoustics, I think it's a more engineered area, and the kind of engineering required is much more higher compared to, let's say, more
the specificity of the sector is very, very high.
And probably it's not being researched as much in India as it has been probably done in the West.
I would probably suggest or even propose saying that I am personally from the point of view of Magnus Plywood, I am just mentioning. I take this privilege of mentioning it by myself without consulting the board, that we are ready to associate and then integrate with a good acoustics team to create world-class products where we can also utilize the combined export potential of the sector. We can also have an exclusive R&D arm, which can be, even outside overseas experts and members can be part of the team. We can raise funding through different channels, and it is a huge sector which is left unexplored as yet.
Sounds good. Shall I move on to the next question, Srikanth?
Yeah, please.
I would say that we are almost towards the end of the questions. So I'll just, and also time is also running out.
Yeah.
So next question is from Vipul. Just 1 second, please. Hold on. So Mr. Vipul Patel, he asks a question that even in the organized sector, the panels do not come in the same thickness. Like, for example, if someone specifies 16 mm thick ply, there is no consistency in the thickness of the wood. And why is that so?
See, there are, as I said, I would like to repeat that India is definitely a consumer demand based market. And the number of people asking for calibrated ply, of course, these days there are lots of calibrated plywood options in the market. A lot of people are getting into thickness calibration as well. But in general, even today, the majority of the plywood has no thickness specification. They say, if you have 19 mm, in fact, 3/4 inch has to be 19.04 mm, which very few or maybe no plywood manufacturer caters to in India. So 3/4 of an inch is 18 mm even today for us. So and finally 18 mm at the end of the day, if once you check the thickness, it will be 17 plus.
Right.
So so finally you are 2 mm short of the original 3/4 of an inch. So
Yes.
these problems, even now these problems exist to a very large extent in India. I would say probably 90% of the market still has these kinds of products. But still, again, as I would like to repeat, India is a consumer demand based market even today. So only the consumer, that is awareness based consumer demand, can change this to a large extent, because more and more architects, more and more carpenter groups, more and more user groups specify that we need so and so, then things are definitely bound to change. I am not trying to blame the consumers, because in general the market in India is consumer demand based. So dealers, retailers, they start thinking of trading something only after they generate a minimum amount of demand. Primarily because we are not creating a demand based on awareness.
So
We are still going with our contractors, we are still going with our carpenters. Carpenter says, "Ye bahut acha hai. This plywood is very good. I have been using it for 25 years now." Okay, done.
Right.
That's it.
So this actually, it's almost like a catch-22 situation. Like you don't know what to start, like where to start. But
Yeah. See, mainly consumer demand matters. I would say consumer demand matters. Awareness-based consumer demand.
And
probably the Architects Guild of India can give an open statement that we are not going to procure low quality stuff hereafter.
Right.
So
Right.
this will create consumer demand based pressures in the market.
Would I be also right in saying, Srikanth, that quality awareness is largely lacking, or rather I would say that it requires a lot of improvement. There's a lot of scope for improvement in the quality awareness.
Yes. Quality awareness, and from the part of manufacturers, the quality ethics also needs to increase to a large extent. We must start feeling proud about the product which we are selling.
True.
That is not happening these days until the current moment.
Right.
Today there are more and more people, as the income generated increases in the middle class households. There are more and more people who are genuinely interested in quality, and it is high time the manufacturers get into the mode of ethics based quality products.
Right. Very good point.
Just to add on to your thing, Karthik, Srikanth, could you just tell us what are the ideal parameters that a standard sheet of ply should have, and what we as purchasers should look out for when we go to the dealers?
See, currently India doesn't have a system of informing the technical details of a plywood batch. This is not yet in system, what we call as the technical data sheet. In fact, plywood being an engineering material, each batch should be accompanied with a TDS, technical data sheet, which is not happening. But basically, I would say that we, as aware people, at present, what we can do is only buy from the known brands.
Right.
At present.
So which are the known brands then? There are so many brands, you don't know which one is known, unknown.
I would suggest you to ping Karthik, and then we can have a one-to-one chat later.
We'll take this discussion offline because we can
because
take
it's a very sensitive matter in India as of now.
No, I agree. So basically,
would
you're
like-
saying that there is no way for me as a layman or a buyer to actually check the quality of the product I'm getting in the plywood sector. That means,
No,
I mean, I will not be able to. I will
No,
not
I
be able to
would
see
agree.
whether it's void free, whether it is properly laminated, whether it is waterproof, whether it is that density, whether it is that thickness. That thickness, so I can measure, but apart from that, nothing else.
See, I would like to openly accept that as of now, there is no real method to establish the reliability of a plywood, branded or non-branded. I would like to say this openly because branded also they have their own problems. Brands have their duplicates. So brands themselves do not know. It is an unorganized sector. So brands themselves sometimes do not know whether it is their own plywood or some other stamped plywood. So these are all
My Lord.
these are all the basic problems which we are facing in India because plywood is 95% unorganized sector. I am 100% sure some of the experts in the plywood field also would be listening to this as I talk. We definitely have lots of problems, and plywood is the most underrated, undermined, ignored, and avoided sector for progress in India. It remains a fact.
So then a follow-up question: can you suggest an alternative to plywood?
See, most of the
And this
MDF,
alternative should be engineered product which can be measured, quantified, and you know that you're getting what you're paying for or what you specified.
at the current level in India, most of the high moisture resistant MDF varieties which are being brought into the market by some of the big brands, they are all top class. They are all top class, very uniform, calibrated in thickness, uniformly workable, and scientifically made. So I would say as on today, MDF is a more reliable engineering material for interiors than plywood as things stand in India.
Fair enough. Srikanth, okay. Mazban, some of the questions that you've asked, we can maybe take it one-on-one with Srikanth at a later time. So I'll move on to the next question from Roshan. And Roshan is asking, related to plywood, is formaldehyde emission less in MDF?
We cannot say because finally it depends on the ratio of resin adhesive made, and then the scavengers used, additives, fillers, extenders used, and the method of manufacture, the method of conditioning, post form conditioning, that is post production conditioning of the product. So there are many aspects to it. So we could not probably say that MDF emits less, but yes, the resins currently used in MDF have been found to be of a lesser formaldehyde emitting category.
Right.
Than the commonly available plywood versions.
Any reason for that?
The reason may be because MDF in general uses the ratios of raw materials in resins, which are helpful in reducing the formaldehyde emissions.
Okay.
Partly.
Okay. There's a last question. It's not a question, it's an observation. Russell basically observes that there was a manufacturer called Uniply, which had very high density plywood, but unfortunately it's closed right now. The company is closed. Is that so?
Yes. It is a Chennai-based company.
Right.
Where I have had the opportunity to work very briefly. So Yeah,
Oh,
it is not in function right now. They had quality products.
And he also goes on to say, Russell goes on to say that the plywood was very dense.
Okay. Probably that would have been made with Dipterocarpus species, the one which we call Garjan, Karui.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, this Garjan, what is this Garjan? I've heard this word so many times at sites, and everybody says, Ye Garjan hai, ye Garjan hai, ye Garjan. They're all, is it a manufacturer? Is it a brand? What is it?
Garjan was initially the most common wood species used for plywood manufacture in mainly in Southeast Asian countries. It is a forest species, and vast amounts of forest was have depleted because of the arbitrary and unauthorized and illegal use of Garjan timber. It is of the Dipterocarpus family of wood, and nowadays we get an equivalent Dipterocarpus family called Keruing from Indonesia, which is called Indonesian Garjan. So basically, Garjan wood has had a very good strength properties in plywood as it is converted into plywood, and the resins, most of the resins used in plywood used to work very well in Garjan for bonding, and there used to be consistency in each sheet of Garjan plywood, and also from the Indian context, the weight of Garjan was very heavy. For example, say 3/4 inch 8x4 sheet used to be around 42 to 46 kg, which is now less than 38, 36 kg these days, or even 28 kilos these days. And the weight used to be good, and carpenters used to like nailing it, the sound, the weight aspect, the physical feel aspect. So the psychology of Garjan got into the Indian carpenters as well as the contractors. So these days, even today, we believe that if it is a Garjan ply, it is top quality ply, whether it is top quality or not.
Okay.
And Shrikant, one last question. I want you to take this. Can you just tell us a little bit about the company you work for and whether the products that you make can be are like standardized products and we
See,
can
Magnus, I would like
rely
to give
on the technical
yes.
data sheets and all from that?
I would like to brief on Magnus Plywood. Magnus Plywood is making compreg wood. We are known in the market for making structural grade plywood, mainly high density plywood, and we also have steel mesh reinforced plywood, glass fiber composites. We are also the leading supplier for Indian Railways for soundproof plywood, cork sandwiched compreg skin plywood, and we are in the sound acoustic space with regard to cork sandwiched compreg ply. And yes, we have the plan. After I came into the picture here, we do have certain plans to have an organized approach into plywood selling. And I have also initiated the utility of technical data sheets to each batch of plywood that is sold. So probably over the next few months or a year, we will be coming out with data sheet based plywood sales.
Wonderful.
And your product is available across India?
Yes. Magnus brands are available across India.
And do you all have any look like me products and copycats, or is it still?
So far we have not heard of it. Not heard of it from the markets, and mostly we are in the structural and shuttering, concrete forming segment.
Okay.
Now we are entering into the non-densified regular plywood segment, and I am pushing for 100% even and E0 grade of plywood shortly.
Wonderful.
So what
Fantastic.
non-densified plywood, the general plywood, general purpose plywood Magnus will be making will be 100% either even or E0. Minimum emission will be even class.
Wonderful.
Which is less than 0.15 parts per million.
So you must have heard of this company called Austin Ply. They make something like an acoustic plywood, which has got like a layer of rubber, neoprene in between the ply sheets, kind of.
Okay.
Have you heard of that? It's
I've
a high density plywood. And,
I've seen the product.
Pretty decent ply it is.
Yeah. So there are many combinations available in the acoustic category.
In fact, just to add on to what Mazban is saying, Mazban, we should take this opportunity. Okay, Srikanth Masban is a PhD in electroacoustics. So
Okay.
he's an expert in the domain of audio and acoustics.
Yeah.
Masban, for the benefit of everyone, I think we should take this initiative, what Srikanth is saying, and we should actually explore the possibility of, let's say, some kind of joint R&D. Because
See,
Srikanth,
I would like to mention here with regard to multi-material composites. See, agrobiomass is a huge resource which remains untouched yet in the panel industry sector. The importance of rice husk densities, along with the possibility to achieve different densities, whereas individual particles of rice husk are very dense, loaded with silica, and it can have lots of acoustic properties. Then you have the rice straw, which also has a very high amount of silica. So there are lots of materials, bio-based materials, which can have lots of opportunities in the acoustics panel sector, which can be utilized. Then it can be rubberized, it can be polymerized, it can be silicized.
But this has already been worked, Srikanth, and it works a lot better in gypsum than it does in wood. So you do get rice straw and rice husk impregnated gypsum sheets, which work extremely well for the isolation part of the audio bit. I don't know how well it will work in plywood, because plywood has got a greater flex strength and less density than you can achieve with gypsum.
No, density is a matter which is achievable. So it's only a process of engineering the product that is required.
Because like a 12 mm sheet of gypsum will have much higher density than a 1-inch sheet of plywood, So to engineer that density, your thickness would go up, and then material costs go up. So there's a lot of things that are involved.
Not really. So the thickness is not going to go up as envisaged. We can retain the thickness level which you are trying to attain. So see, the scope is unlimited. The engineering aspects of panels is so unlimited that once you get into it, you will know in more detail as to the workability of various purposes.
I think as Srikanth
Thank you,
said,
Srikanth. It was extremely informative. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Masban. Thanks, Masban, for your questions also. Your questions were very, very insightful questions, in fact. I think with that, we'll come to the end, because no more questions are being asked and we are almost run out of time. In fact, we have run out of time. The scheduled time was 7:30. We are at 7:33, which is not too bad. So having said that, Srikanth, thanks a lot for your time and the wonderful presentation. And we thank you from the bottom of our hearts. A very informative session, and we look forward to having more such sessions in the future. Maybe on some similar themes, like maybe more detailed themes.
Yeah.
This is a very good introduction, and maybe at a later date we can have maybe a follow-up session to talk about more specific details with regard to, let's say, how we could use plywood for acoustics and sound isolation, sound absorption, and various other details.
And I also wish to profusely thank you for the opportunity to create a certain kind of awareness which I have always wanted to create. And I wish to thank the organizers, Karthik, Roshan, and all the listeners for patiently listening. So Pramod Gupta from Woodcert is saying hi, a friend of mine. So I would like to thank one and all.
You go one.
So hope
one
to have.
last. Last question. Can I ask this one last question?
Please.
Srikanth, can I ask this last question?
Please.
So if there was a choice given, would you go with a natural wood or a plywood in the same size, which has got better properties?
Depends on the species of wood. It depends on the species and purpose, because if it is aesthetics, wood of course is the number one option. But if it is engineering, I would definitely go with a plywood, well made.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Thanks a lot for the opportunity to create a bit of awareness. Hope some more sessions can be organized. It can go further deep into the aspect of acoustics with respect to panels, and hope India can come out with some progressive approach to creating more research and product developments in panel-based composites for acoustics and sound engineering.
Basically ना ये चोरी का mentality निकलना चाहिए. In India, everything is about making a fast buck.
No,
True.
not really. Let us think of it in the positive way. See, as I wish to repeat, it is a consumer demand-based market mainly, which is creating the effect of cheating.
No, when you
Because
say consumer
because
demand
we are
based, you mean the demand is at a price which is unsustainable for the plywood companies to make it?
no. It is not so. It is not so. See, when I say India is a consumer demand-based market, the consumer demands only so and so these days. There are very few people like you, as you would also agree, that there are very few people who go for technically specified products in whichever sector you take.
No, but one sec, Shrikant, let me interrupt you
Yeah.
out here. This is a very important point you're bringing up. See,
Yeah.
let me put it forward to you that the common man has got the least decision making in this process.
Yeah.
This decision making process is done by the architects, it is done by the carpenters mainly. They are
Yeah.
the people who tell the customer, nahi, ye plywood aana chahiye idhar, nahi, itna
Yeah.
sheet bhej deta hu. And
That's
basically,
exactly what
it's a whole matter of kickbacks and commissions and all that flow between dealers and architects, and
See,
and as a result, many times substandard material is being sold just basically for profit. It's got nothing to do with technical. The end user doesn't even know. नहीं अब तो plywood लगा दिया. अरे क्या लगाया?
you're
क्या
opening
डाला?
you're opening a Pandora's box.
I am, but that's the only way you can
no,
address a problem, right?
it
By
is true. It
facing
is
it head
true.
on.
See, it is
So I
true.
mean,
See,
unless this chori doesn't stop, nothing can. In no sector can there be improvement.
This is
see,
like it's why I said it's a catch-22 situation.
So
It's
again, here's the
basically
question: does the customer tell the architect, "नहीं भैया, अब 80 वाला plywood मत वापरो ना, 22 रुपया वाला plywood वापरो"? He doesn't say that. The architect tells him, and architect will probably sell 22 rupees वाला plywood and charge the customer 80 rupees. That's what.
see, I'll put it in another perspective. See, this is the major aspect. 95% of the aspect is what you mentioned right now. So I would like to put it in another perspective. When we want to buy a car, we take it very seriously. We take the decision very seriously. At least most of the Indians do. And we see the mileage, our budget, our EMIs, and all those things, and we look at the resale value. If such kind of approach is taken up in probably almost every purchase decision of ours, especially in plywood sector, because most of our interiors are modular these days, as I mentioned earlier. So I would say, of course, I repeat that it is an accepted fact that manufacturers are also to blame. The architects, the entire supply chain is to blame for unethical, creation of the unethical supply chain so far. But the another perspective of this is that probably the customers also can start, consumers, I wouldn't say customers, consumers also can probably start thinking on the creation of self-awareness and the seriousness involved in deciding on modular products, which can also go to a large extent in pressurizing the supply chain to change their mindset.
absolutely very well
Which
said.
is what I meant by the consumer demand-based market. In the unorganized sector, we should always have at the back of the mind that plywood is still an unorganized sector because of the supply chain that is created in such a fashion.
Can I ask a question? This is Vipul Patel.
Yeah, please, Vipulji.
Yeah. My question, like you said, organized sector or whatever, today when you talk to architects also, they don't understand one plywood from the other. You mentioned yourself that one company does not know whether it's their plywood or somebody else has made it. Right. So what is the way that you govern this in the first place? Because at the end of the day, it hurts your bottom line. The second part would be that, let's say there are 5 companies, all organized, all good companies doing the right thing.
Yeah.
Even for the same type of ply, there's a huge variation cost. Why should that be such a big difference?
It is also a problem with one of the parameters of problems with the current supply chain, which I mentioned earlier. Because the supply chain is also to be blamed to a large extent. Say the 95% of the blame goes into the entire supply chain, starting from manufacturer, distributors, retailers, stockists. So everyone is involved in the resurrection of ethics in this sector, and very slowly things are changing, and companies have started realizing the importance of supply chain ethics. And because of the slowness of the speed of change of the change, I again repeat that probably there can be a higher amount of pressure created from self-awareness, because see, there is a huge bulk of material that is lying in the market, huge bulk of material, and we will not be in a position to fight against it head on.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. Catch 22. Can't be
Yeah,
helped.
absolutely.
Yes, there are it's a multi-parameter situation. So probably that is what I meant by saying that probably if more and more consumers start saying, no, you are doing wrong, this is not the stuff, you give me this, then the pressure starts building up.
So just to add on to what you said,
And we are also working. Yeah, we are also working from the
it's a question of
institutional
quality,
part of.
it's a question of quality awareness and the insistence on quality.
Yes.
And
Yes.
that can be driven by the consumer also. It's not a question
Yes.
that we just
Quality also comes at a price.
but
See, there can be a limit to the price also, ceiling to the price also, because see, good companies develop from situations. And
wouldn't I be right in also saying that price ultimately is a demand supply equation? Because,
yes. Once the demand stabilizes, the price will stabilize definitely.
Absolutely.
And it is a cycle which it is an inevitable cycle.
Correct. Okay.
So once again, I would like to thank you all for the wonderful questions. I really loved the questions. I really loved discussing all this very frankly with a set of very highly educated, precision-based sector, which is acoustics. And I would like to continue keeping in touch with all or most of you for times to come. And let us see how we can progress together for the benefit of acoustic sector, sound engineering, the exports from India, Atmanirbhar Bharat, that is self-reliance, which our Modi ji has been focusing on during recent times post-COVID. So let us try to work out all this and bring progress to the society in general.
Srikanth, you should take a look at that Baltic birch thing question which
Yes.
Roshan had raised.
Yes.
Study that and see what Indian option we can, because there's a big demand for that. That's really a good product.
I'm straight away getting into it.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks everyone.
A lot.
Once again, from the bottom of my heart,
You can brand it Atmanirbhar Birch. Atmanirbhar Birch plywood. Or
thanks
Modi
everyone.
ply. Modi ply.
Modi ply. I think that's already copyrighted.
That's true.
Okay, so we
Yeah.
will
We'll wrap
conclude
up
the
the session.
Yeah.
Srikanth, thanks once again for your time, and
Thanks a lot.
thanks everyone for participating and asking your questions. There will definitely be a follow-up session to this evening, and we look forward to that. I'll keep you posted regarding the timelines and when the next session would be held. With that, we come to a close, and I will share Srikanth's contact details also with everyone once the session is over. And this session is going to be recorded, and it will be posted on YouTube also. Thanks again.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Take care, everyone.
Good night. Good night, everyone.
Thanks,
Good night.
Karthik.
Thank you.
Srikanth.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Karthik. Thanks, Srikanth.
Pleasure. Our pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good night. Good night.
Good night.